Alright, so hopefully my camera doesn't fall, but this is the first and probably, I don't know, maybe the last of a political video that goes into a tax bill or just a bill in general. Never done this before. I've always kind of wanted to know what's in a tax bill, how it works, and all these other things. I've read into other tax bills before, but just didn't really pay attention to it. And this one, I'm just like, you know what? I think it's the year to actually look into these things. So, here we go. Trump's tax bill, whatever, his giant bill that he passed through the... what was it? Holy shit. Let's see. Yeah, big tax bill that passed the House. See, I'm smart. I knew what I was talking about. All right. So, tax changes for individuals. It keeps the 2017 tax cuts, which lower income tax rates become permanent. No tax on tips, overtime, and some car loan interest, but only until 2028. So it's not like it's going to continue and you're going to continue to reap the benefits of that, which I thought a lot of people probably would be cool with. But again, it's not for the people. It's for a base, and a base is probably not going to benefit from it for a very long time. Standard deduction increases temporarily. Individuals $16,000, which is up by $1,000, and the married couples $32,000. Child tax credit increased from $2,000 to $2,500, only from 2025 to 2028 once again, and then it returns to $2,000 after 2028, and then it adjusts for inflation. Estate tax exemption increased, now $15 million, adjusted for inflation. SALT deduction cap increases up to $40,000 for those earning under $500,000. The higher income above $500,000, the smaller your SALT deduction will be. Tax changes for businesses, which is something that people apparently care about. Small businesses like partnerships and S corporations, goddamn train, can deduct 23% of their qualified business income, up from 20%. Businesses can now fully deduct research, machinery, equipment, and other qualifying assets immediately, which the hope is to encourage investment. Okay, so now for food assistance, which is SNAP and EBT, it cuts $267 billion from SNAP over 10 years. States now must pay 5% of benefits, which normally they pay none. Work requirements are expanded, so able-bodied adults without dependents must work until age 64, which is up from 54. And parents only exempt if caring for a child under 7, and it used to be under the age of 18. Whew! I think a lot of times when we talk about working and childcare and who's controlling these kids or who's watching these kids and all this other stuff, I don't think people realize that these sorts of things, like making people work a lot while they have children, can increase a child's ability to get in trouble and do stupid shit. I don't know if people knew that. I think that you should know that. I am a great example. My mother worked a lot, and I got into some shit a lot when she wasn't home. And I can only imagine how bad it is if you're in the ghetto and you have one parent or two parents that work a lot, and you got to go home to gunshots and alcohol. So this probably isn't a very good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. Along with that, cutting $267 billion from a program that is supposed to provide food to millions of Americans, not just black Americans, if you didn't know, but white Americans as well, like in Appalachia or West Virginia or Utah or Florida or Texas or California, whatever, you know. So you'll see. Anyway, so the positives and negatives of these. Supporters argue that requiring more people to work for benefits, upping the age for 10 years, helps people become more self-sufficient and keep people working longer. I think working longer is the big point there. People don't already want to work, and they don't like working. So keeping them working them longer is going to make them more depressed and upset about life. I personally am not somebody who thinks that people should be working a shit ton. I think that this amount of traffic that you see today at 2:07 p.m. here in Philadelphia, I don't think needs to exist. I like the way Europe has it, where, or maybe it's Italy. I don't know if it's all of Europe, but there's a siesta per se, where things shut down for like 2 hours and then they open back up. I think that's a great thing. I think allowing parents to be home with their kids a lot is a great thing. So I'm not a huge fan of any of this shit. The negatives for these things is people could lose benefits. Some people might lose benefits if they can't meet the work rules, like finding a job. Finding a job in this, I was going to say in this economy, but that sounds stupid. Finding a job in America sucks. Just overall, it's pretty shitty. Even if you're trying to find a job that's like a fast food restaurant job, it's horrible. When I got here in Philadelphia, I was trying to find a job, and it took fucking forever. I didn't get a job until literally last October that I could work on the weekends. No! And that, I've been here since 2023, August of 2023. Could not find a job outside of school. And I wanted to try to supplement my income that what I was getting from, well, I just wanted more income. And I couldn't find one. I literally couldn't. I applied to so many jobs on this little website, or on this computer. I went into places like, hey, are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? There was a place that was hiring for months, and they never got back to me. And I went in at least 10 times to say, hi, here's my resume. Can you fucking hire me? I know you have positions open because you say you do. I call you every time, and you say, well, look at your, fuck you. So this is, I think this is probably, this is something that I think Americans think that, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna promote self-efficiency, but in reality, you're just gonna piss people off even more, because look around you, it's very difficult to find one. I only got this job because it was a stroke of luck, because I lined up. We were supposed to meet somewhere, me and my team, and I met at the wrong area, and I found that this place was hiring, and thank God that they actually were, and so I was able to get a job. But if I had not fucked up on my part, I wouldn't have been able to find a job. So yeah. And then health problems. All Americans have health problems. They're either depressed, very unhealthy, or just have the worst luck with cancer or whatever other internal diseases exist. And we're not going to get into being overweight, if that's a personal choice or not, because that's a whole nother conversation. I think in some cases people can acknowledge it as a personal choice, but I think for other cases it's more about your area and where you live, rather than just like it being a personal choice. Like, it is a personal choice because you are eating McDonald's every day, but you're eating McDonald's every day because there's only fast food around you type thing. And if you don't have a car, it makes it a little bit more difficult to go out and go to the shopping mall and get a decent vegetables and whatever. Some people just don't know how to cook. Like, I was in college, 6 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and she wasn't my friend, but someone I knew was like, yeah, I'm gonna take a break from school, I gotta learn how to cook. She's like 21 years old, doesn't know how to cook for herself. Like, I can't imagine that there are some, like, come on, I don't know, whatever. Other negatives: parents with kids over 7 will lose their exemption and might struggle with work balance and childcare. Childcare is expensive, and then caring for children is also a mental breakdown inducing thing, and it only helps if you're in a good neighborhood with another partner that actually loves you and loves their child, and a good support system around you. This is what I talked about. I talked about this in another video about having the benefits of having the privilege of having a social upbringing that is whole rather than apart. So yeah. This could increase hunger and poverty, as you know, and then, these sorts of things are big deals for single parents and parents who can't afford childcare between the kids of 7 and 17. Republicans have this idea of we need to birth more children, but then they don't have the wherewithal to think about okay, you need to birth more children, but people also need to take care of them, or society will take care of them for you. Before society will take care of them for you, these children will fuck everything up. It's not even funny. Like, people complain about these kids are so disrespectful. Well, if they had parents in their lives, guess what? They won't be so fucking disrespectful. So, whatever. Negatives of expanding work requirements. Older adults may face age discrimination, health problems, or lack of job opportunities. This is very true. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's a sentiment amongst the younger generation of America that old people are fucking shitty. So I can't imagine being an elderly individual walking into a place asking for a job, and then a fucking 25-year-old is like, no, fuck you. Like, and like, some elderly people are pretty fucking rude, and it's just like it's really just the mentalities and the errors in which people grew up in. Like, back then it was like you respect everybody, and now it's like, I'm gonna respect you if you respect me, but if you don't respect me, fuck you. So, and honestly, I kind of vibe with both of them. I think you should give respect to everybody, but I also just like, if you treat me like shit, I don't want to respect you, and I'm not going to continue to respect you. And then just forcing people to work doesn't guarantee that it's going to be self-sufficient, and it doesn't guarantee that they're going to find a job. Again, people, honestly, I feel like all politicians should be on TikTok, because at least then they'll be able to see what people are complaining about. I'm not on the app, but I watch YouTube videos of other people reacting to people that are on TikTok complaining about things. And it's just, it's, I don't know. And then on top of that, you have to talk about low wages. People are like, they're not that low. Well, sure, they're not that low, but still, when you think about wanting to provide for your child after they turn to the age of 7, it's kind of a pain in the dick. And while people, I have to I have to mention the whole cost of living aspects. I think that's true. I don't mentally know how to combat that mentally yet. I will at some point. However, you have to realize that if you want people to save money, you kind of have to either A, make a mechanism for them to save money, or B, pay them a little more so they have leftover money to save. Because it's not like the cost of living is going to offset the amount of things that are expensive. Like, housing's expensive, water's expensive, electricity's expensive, car fucking payments are expensive, insurance is ridiculous. I don't pay car insurance, but I do know that if I were to get car insurance in the state of Florida, which I'm not in, but I was able to skirt the whole car insurance thing by still having Wisconsin car insurance while I lived in Florida. So that was cool. And I only had to pay like $25 a month because my car was so shitty and so old. Anyway, the new work requirements, 80 hours of work per month. Eligibility must be verified twice a year. Estimated 8.6 million people could lose coverage over 10 years. Keep in mind that people complain about people having mental health crises and like, oh my God, why are there so many homeless, crazy people running around? Well, cutting programs like these is probably going to increase that amount by a shit ton. Another shitty thing that I think Donald Trump's plan is that he's replacing all existing repayment plans for student loans to a standard 10-year or 25-year repayment plan. You're acting as though people are going to get a job right away in that sense. I think you need to have, kind of like tax brackets, you need more availability in those. I think we need to expand the amount of tax brackets there are, because somebody who's making $1,000 a year versus somebody who's making $15,000 a year, I don't know what the fucking thing is, but should not be in the same tax bracket. And just like this, I don't think that there should only be two ways to repay your plan, either 10 or 25 years. Also, the new tax plan, made it easier, it doesn't make it easier to cancel loans for a school that either defrauded students or shut down. In fact, it makes it damn near impossible now. The one that I kind of like a little bit is the tax increase on university endowments. I will say, though, I think the better way to do this is to just have universities pay income tax, or not income tax, state taxes on the buildings they owe. Like maybe like I don't know. Philadelphia is poor. Los Angeles, part of Los Angeles is really poor because organizations, businesses like these don't pay taxes because they're considered non-profits. I think that's a shitty thing. I think it's a horrible thing. I think it keeps a lot of people poor. It keeps the city poor. The city then has to tax normal people more money to fund more programs or ask the federal government for more money. But you can't really do that depending on who's in office and who is and is not in office, and it just becomes a big fucking mess. And I think the efficient way to do it is to just tax places like Penn, Yale, or whatever fucking universities in this damn city so they can actually fund city things and we don't have to fully rely on philanthropy or whatever. And this fucking idea of pilot programs is horseshit because I was looking into it and I don't know, it's just dumb. Like you have to have a recurring way of funding these things, otherwise it's horseshit. Planned Parenthood, which we all know he hates that, and so prohibits Medicaid for funding Planned Parenthood, which offers abortion services, cancer screenings, and birth control. I don't know. I think if you really wanted to make it so America is healthy, you would at least allow them to provide services for cancer screenings and birth control. I don't want a bunch of fucking teenagers raising kids. These teenagers suck. They're all the worst types of teenagers ever. And you know, funnily enough, if I were a racist individual, I would actually want more birth control because then that would mean I would get to make sure that the black people don't get to have more children. That's just if I were racist, that's how I would look at birth control. And unfortunately, well, I guess, maybe not unfortunately, but they don't have the wherewithal or foresight to even think about these sorts of things. They may hate Negroes and Mexicans, but they sure don't know how to stop them from having children. Anyway, Trump's savings accounts. So this is essentially a Roth IRA, but whatever. And funnily enough, this is something that Florida already fucking does, which I think all states should do. So parents who open Trump accounts, fucking ridiculous, for babies born between 2024 and 2028, again, it's not about Americans, it's about his time, because if it was about Americans, this would exist beyond his time as president. Get a $1,000 deposit from the government. I believe it's just a one-time deposit. It doesn't really say. Families can contribute up to $5,000 per year into this account, and funds can be used for college, training, or first-time home purchases. I guess this is for the child? Partial access at 18, full access at 30. So in Florida, they essentially have these already. It's called... I actually don't know what it's called, but essentially when your child's born, you set up an account. It's like a tax where every time you get paid, it gets taken out of your paycheck and it goes into this account. And by the time the kid hits college, it can either go towards college, which it's kind of a double-edged sword because it can go towards college and it can go towards whatever the kid wants to use it for. And because they're gonna have a lot of money, because in Florida, the child's education, the child's college education is funded by the lottery system. So it's a brilliant system. I think a big state like California should definitely try this and fully go for it, because I think this could be a game changer for making college free in California like it used to be. And let alone the rest of the fucking country. I think Texas should try this. New York, I don't know. The highest income earning state should definitely try something like this. I don't know how they haven't done it already. Border and immigration security, $4.6 billion resumed to building Trump's border wall. Giant waste of money, because planes exist. $4 billion for 3,000 new border patrol agents and 5,000 new customs officers. $4 billion seems like a lot. I feel like you could have funded this with $2 billion. $2.1 billion for hiring and retention bonuses. $10,000 new ICE officers and investigators. $1,000 fee for asylum seekers, so you now have to pay $1,000 to seek asylum in the United States. And plans to aim to deport 1 million migrants and detain 100,000 people at a time. So obviously he does not like immigrants for whatever reason and thinks that they should pay at some point. I feel like this issue of immigration could be solved really easily. I would see immigrants as like a net positive to the United States financial outlook. I don't know. They work. They essentially feed Americans. That's exactly what they do. Like, if you want a Taco Bell, guess who picks the fruit for Taco Bell? Not me, bitch. So, and definitely not you, you fat fuck. Anyway, defense and military spending, $150 billion increase for the Defense Department. I don't know if you know this, but they failed every audit they've had since fucking forever. So, you want to talk about wasteful spending? There you go. $25 billion for a missile defense system, which Donald Trump calls Golden Dome for America. I don't know if you know this, but we're kind of in between two fucking oceans. And then beyond that, we have nuclear weapons. And then even beyond that, it costs a lot of money to actually do a terroristic attack on America. 9/11 cost those guys $300,000 to $400,000 to actually do. So I don't really see this happening anytime soon, ever. And I think if you were to have a terrorist attack, it would be a domestic one and not really a foreign one. This just sounds like some fucking... This makes it sound like you're in between a bunch of different countries that don't like us, which is obviously not true. They don't like our leadership, but they definitely are like... I don't fucking know. $21 billion for restock ammunition. $34 billion to expand the Navy. Okay. $9 billion for military housing, healthcare, and special pay. That is probably the only thing in this entire defense and military spending budget that I think makes sense. In fact, if I were a military individual, I would be upset that the entire 34, 20, 21, 25, and $150 billion isn't inside that. Like, this is how much he does not give a fuck. I would have put all that money into the military housing and healthcare and special pay. Can you imagine how much better the VA would work if they had, I don't know what this number would be, but a lot of billions of dollars? I don't know. People say it sucks. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to believe you because you actually use it. And the last thing, as everybody loves to talk about, are fossil fuels and land use. Cuts to royalty rates for companies extracting oil, gas, and coal. Speeds up approval processes for drilling, mining, and logging on public lands. And you can bet your ass that that probably also means native land as well, regardless of whatever laws exist. You can definitely bet someone's going to break that shit. And reverses Biden-era climate policies to encourage fossil fuel production. So, that's what's in Trump's tax bill. That is what's been passed. I think the big overall take is that it's not really here for Americans. It's not here for a long time. It's here for a short time. If you cared about Americans the way that you claim you do and your base, you wouldn't make some of these things for only 4 years. You would make it last until the end of time at least. Because some of these things I think could be beneficial. But I think keeping it for only 4 years, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know. You might be wondering, well, you're a Negro liberal. Of course you don't like this stuff. Well, no, it's more about the fact that it's not practical. It's not conducive of actually having a good country and a good, healthy populace. And it's also not conducive of cutting the fucking national debt. I was watching another YouTuber named Atrioc, and he always talks about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, or the 4 horsemen of the national debt. One of them is Medicaid, one of them is the defense spending, and I forgot the other 2. But essentially, you have to cut one of those 2 very drastically in order to actually cut into the national debt. And personally, I think that if a section of the government is failing audits every year that they get audited, such as the defense Pentagon thing, I don't think you should be getting any more money than you need. However, I was informed also by Atrioc that in order to continue getting the money they need, they end up wasting a lot of the things that they have. So we talked about how when, I think it's his dad or whatever, was on like a base, someone he knew, and like the end of the fiscal year was coming up or some shit, they would essentially fill up the planes with gas and fly them around till the gas ran out, and they could justify getting a higher budget or whatever. That's essentially like going to work and saying, look busy. That's horseshit. That's terrible. But anyway, I don't make the rules. This is why it's important to see who you vote for and to see what's actually in the things. I think anybody running for president, they need to put together their own tax bill, which maybe they already do this, I'm not entirely sure. And they need to actually lay out what's in it. And I think there should be a rule where at least half of what's in that bill has to stay in to be passed, and the other half can be changed. But if they get elected to president. But that's just me. That's what I think. Anywho, I gotta go pee again. Have fun.